Hello and welcome back to Haphazard Feather in the Wind Productions. I am your host Lance Bernard. For the next several minutes I'll be running through some different images and ideas, but for the most part I will be talking about the construction of the White House and showing some photographs of that. Also, I'd like to talk about some of the wonderful people that really put out some great information on the internet. One of my favorites is Sylvia Ivanova. She looks like an angel out of look. She smells like an angel out of smell. I mean, she puts out some amazing and very articulate, interesting information. I would suggest checking her channel out, and there may be some volume issues. Occasionally the volume will raise up and down and you'll need to adjust that, but she really does an amazing job in confirming and verifying what I was basically just brushing by. Now this guy here, Captain Kirk, dealing with the electricity in the air and how Antiquatech works. Actually, how the Antiquatech, that Martin Lead key, I'm going to bring up Martin Lead key here. This guy really goes through his research, really does a fantastic and amazing job. Big shout out to that guy. Man, we all love you, and you are the owner of the Mudflood. In my opinion, he's done so much research. But now this guy, Captain Kirk, explains how the levels of electricity in the air are accessed through the positive and negative ions, whatever. You get the basic idea. There are different currents and different levels that we live in. And so there's an area that has more and less positive ions, these positive electrons. And I may not be overly specific, but it shows the fundamental basics of the reasons we're not electrocuted while we're standing on the ground in the voltage that we're standing on, and how to access from the air the electricity, and then how to channel that electricity into, I mean, he does an amazing job. He actually shows one of the machines, Captain Kirk, electricity in the air. Check out his work and give it a thought. I mean, it's important to think about things that, because if you're looking into the reasons that that the authority wants to demolish and destroy, and well, right now we pay for our electricity. We, being everyone on Earth, pays for their electricity. And I think it should be free because of what I just showed you. Now, Asha Logos really puts it out in a very, as a matter of fact, specific. This is the way you might want to consider things and look at the realities and facts in our lives, and consider the stories we've been told, and decide for ourselves what is proper for us each individually. Not to be slammed in the face with, this is how it is, see, and this is the way it's going to be. And it's better, in my opinion, I hope you agree with me, that we just decide for each one of ourselves what is important to each one of us. Now, I've covered quite a number of issues. In this, I would like to mention the trees and the age of the trees worldwide. Everywhere on Earth, you find trees that are no older than 200 years old. You will find these, they're rare, few and far between, massively old trees. Now you can tell by looking at the tree that it's not a youngster. It's not a sprout. It's yeah. So at any rate, the ages of the trees and the construction of, now this is when Harry Truman was renovating the basement of the White House. And just a quick consideration on these lower windows right here. If you look at these windows down on the right photograph, yeah, let's go ahead and build those windows so we can look out underground. Once again, the Mudflood details are showing. Your penis, your balls are showing. And the thing is, I already mentioned the grandeur that we can build while we're shooting each other during the Civil War. Sylvie Ivanov really gets into the details of, the lies that we've been told. Now, there's another guy that brought up, his name is Brian Austin Lambert, 33, that really goes through the plasma and how and when the electromagnetic plasma is going to flip, basically, and alter our electromagnetic life. Once again, the window's on the left side. As the mud flows down in this direction, you see, yeah, it's important we build windows underground. The mud flood evidence is really obvious all over the world, and I wanted to give some credit to people that really put a lot of time into it, not like me. Because I personally am still a rookie. I don't know what I'm doing, and as far as all the technical aspects of putting videos together, but I would like to convey some of this information. This is the inside of the White House during a construction period, and it is curious and interesting, these doors right here, and the heights and the amount of mud in here. Just something to take a look at, consider, and possibly wonder. WTF and some of the relationships on these details. Now, we may have obliterated and eliminated a lot of the life here on Earth. As humans, that's kind of what we do. We like to kill everything that we see moving around. It's like, well, how dare you move around? But it's an unfortunate reality of the negativity we've been brought up in. The research that have been done by the people that I have just mentioned is vast and furious, and it deals with so many of the cool truthers that want to just get information out there. Get information out there and help people to come to realize and understand that the world that we live in, or what we're given as information, is questionable. And a lot of these things that are called fables in history, fables and legends and hooey, I believe are actually history. And so, even though I may have trouble going through some of these video aspects, the ideas that I'm conveying to you, the ages of the trees worldwide, there are very few that are that old. And you go, well, in order to find out the age of a tree, you kind of need to cut it. You kind of need to cut it in half and look at all the rings in it. And that is an unfortunate reality, but there are a lot of trees in America that we have here in this land that they consider the authority. I hate to use the word they, it's too general, not specific. They're just, there's too much history, the authority, just to blindly, you believe whatever they go and say to you. So it's the considerations of the truth, of the information you've been given, and how that actually matches up with the possibilities of the reality of it. And these are ancient trees in Africa. The ages of these trees, go ahead and listen to Quackademia, because they're going to tell you everything. They'll help you put the pieces of the puzzle together. Even though I am in a haphazard production, the belief in what academia wants to tell you is the first error. I mean, we strive for knowledge. We want to know the truth. We strive for the belief in truth. And if you get information like, well, Christopher Columbus came over and he discovered America. Well, it's kind of like the Nazis did when they discovered, I shouldn't say that, I should probably put it more along the lines of any discoverer is also a conqueror. Basically, discovery back in the day was apparently just showing up and killing everybody in the area and saying, hey, we discovered this. We discovered this area. after slaughtering everyone and taking it over. And I will go back and forth on my issues because I'm basically basing my presentation on what I'm seeing in front of me. And there's so many details I've already covered in my past videos that you're looking at images of that I'm glazing by. Now, these trees are interesting consideration on how they grew. If you know anything about the growth of life or trees or plants, you can see that these were growing at one time earlier and then pushed to one side simultaneously, all of them relatively, and then they, as life kept growing back toward the sun. And if you've grown any plants, you lay a plant down and the plant will strive to grow back again to that upright position. So I must apologize for my screen flipping back and forth, but what I'm doing is testing the roller wheel so that you don't hear clicks, and 90% of the time it works, and 10% of the time I roll and nothing happens. So then I roll back and forth and forget which direction I was actually going. The ages of the trees. Here's a 400-year-old tree in Tennessee. Now, how it's determined that this is 400 years old, kind of got me. What, did they have two of them and just cut one down? Or was somebody there for 400 years? And when I planted that tree here, and it's in the written records, I'm not quite sure. And that's mainly why I call academia quackademia. These things, what, did we kill them all? It's a curiosity. You're given so many equations and so much mind-boggling, baffling information that it's difficult to discern. But when you walk through a forest and you look at all the trees, you can see that some are older, some are younger, and you can actually calculate relative truth. And you can also have one cut down in this sort of a situation where you can read the rings and look at the age, and then by looking at that one and then all of the others, do a comparative analysis between what you're looking at and what you've learned. Because parroting back information, oh man, that makes you a genius. If you can just take all what quackademia tells you and parrot it back, well, then you're considered a genius. But if you can't do that, well, then you're shunned, you're an outcast, you're an idiot. When I was a child in third grade, I believe my teacher was in math, and one teacher taught all subjects in those days. In third grade, yeah. And so I think the teacher gave me something like, or the class, she said, okay, what is 2 and 2? And I said 22, and of course the class laughed at the teacher, and that really upsets teachers when you laugh at them. But 2 and 2 is 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. Anyway, too many of those retorts from me. Here's another considered to be a 400-year-old tree. But then again, haven't we been around 2,000 years? Okay, anyway, the teacher decided that I was disrupting the class by telling the truth. 2 and 2 is 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, but 2 and 2 and 2 is 222. So anyway, I was labeled as a retard. Retarded, and this boy needs to go into a special area where he's in a locked cage, or, you know, the retarded section. So they had me IQ tested in the third grade. And lo and behold, they jumped me to the 5th grade after the IQ tests. So you will be condemned and called a goofball, retard, idiot for bringing up truths that don't make sense to people's cognition, to their mindset, to what they've been told and taught, and you don't fit in, so you need to be shunned to the side. But sometimes when these people who I've mentioned already, Asha Logos, Sylvie Ivanova, Martin Leedkey, John Levi, he is a great guy too. Check his stuff out on the decimation of Dresden and all of the fantastic research these people have done. You know, like I said, you're outcast, until they determine that you're actually beyond the concepts of others, and put you in an advanced grade, and then you're the youngest person in your class until you decide that quackademia is exactly that, and reject any more of the lies that you've been told. Because that's what I did at a young age. Yeah, and I was out of high school at the age of relatively 16, maybe 17, because I couldn't take it anymore, and I was making more income than both of my parents put together, working on the railroad and doing other manual labor jobs to make money, and then just going to school part-time. I believe we're kept in a bit of a cage, and I try to expose that, and it really upsets people. It's like, you can't say that, this and that. Well, okay, well, I will advise you to go to the other people that say it. As far as these being real or hoaxes, there are many naysayers to the evidentiary photographs, but these, of course, that's easily photoshopped, easily. I am a digital expert. I haven't put any of this stuff together. I'm not interested in all that. I'm interested in looking at the realities in our lives, and considering what we've been lied to about and why. What is your purpose? What is your reason for deceiving me or altering the truth and the reality of things? The weathering on this is pretty intense. And so is Sylvia Ivanov. I gotta bring her up again. I think I have a crush on her. I think I want to marry her. This is, once again, an aged, and what's considered to be an ancient tree, but shouldn't these be everywhere? I'm just saying. And here's another one that's, intensely, that's extremely old. But in my opinion, to say, well, that's exactly 830 years old, yeah, I don't believe that can be done. Another beautiful ancient tree. And we seem to now, if you see this one, of course, and then you look at all of the trees in the back, how long would it take this third one on the left to grow to the size of this one? And once again, quackademia will tell you, well, they only grow so long and then they fall over dead, and that's just the way it is, except for that one. Yeah, just except for that one. But the rest of them, yeah, that's what they do. So realizing, understanding, and considering what people have to say, that's all. It's just what they have to say. You might think, well, that's just nuts. Well, that's okay. That's your right to say that's just nuts. And that's just beautiful. It's your right to say, I think it looks like, something negative. But the consideration of all of this everywhere in the world, and the ages of each one of these, why aren't there much older trees? Just a thought, just a question. You don't have to get all worked up about it. Get your pants in a bunch. And I really, once again, this is unfair to make one guy do all of the labor in a construction project. They could have each taken a chunk of wood, but they make the one guy carry everything. I'm totally against that sort of behavior. I hope you agree with me. And the details of how these guys built that while they were shooting each other, those are covered intensely by a lot of the people that I just mentioned. John Levi does a fantastic job. And of course, I have to give a shout out to Roger at Mudflood University, because Roger is convincing. You look at his work, you might have difficulty in hearing how he conveys his information. I love that water. That's just perfect. And water. Yeah, she looks like an angel out of look. She smells like an angel out of smell. I'm just stuck on Sylvia Ivanov. I used to study, and you may never do any research on me, which is fine with me. I sell stuff that I created. Oh my God! It made me realize 30 years ago the realities that we live in. For me to alter other people's conscious details is not my job. I'll give them information, and it's up to them to apply it and use it. That's amazing, and I'm glad those Civil War soldiers could put all this together while they were shooting each other. That's just fantastic. Checking the ages of trees. This is an interesting shot and a consideration that I'm pretty much done bringing up now. So, in retrospect and in how we look at things and if we look at things isn't up to somebody else. It's up to us. It's up to each one of us individually to determine whether or not we really care about things, about the fabrication and creation of some amazing, amazing pieces of art, and then also the historical value in, if you lose your past, if you lose your history, you know, that's one way to conquer a people, and it's to tell them, well, you came from here, and you're in my pocket, you've always been in my pocket, and that's just the way it's going to stay. Because if you're not a part of the cog, this is construction on the White House. If you notice the construction going on, and the dome, although the rest of it is built in this beautiful structure down here, was apparently a prefab building that they put together overnight. I don't quite. But that Antiquatech that I had mentioned with the harvesting of the electrons from above can very easily be done through these spires. And the diagram you saw earlier, just put it together in your mind, that all of this was probably free at one point. Here's some more construction on the White House, and as you can see, the level of the dirt up at the very top, and the absolutely necessary windows well down below the level of the dirt. You know, it's important, and I say that over and over, to be able to look out into the dirt, but you just take a look and consider. I'm not going to, you know, scream about things. This right here is the construction on another building, but if you look at the age of the trucks, this is not new construction. This is some sort of renovation, because this was built back in the 1800s, apparently. They're just kind of fixing it up. And once again, it's looking at the ground level of things. Mr. Lead Key has really gotten me into looking at the level of the ground, but not just close up like this. If you back off and then look at the different levels behind, it's difficult when something gets buried in mud to, you know, dig it out. So that's just a truth. Once again, I'm experimenting with rolling the wheel as opposed to clicking, in which direction goes which direction. We made some amazing things. Okay, but we didn't. And you know, it kind of hurts for people to be told that sort of thing. You didn't make that. When you consider that, you know, wow, we did this. There was a group of people that probably don't exist anymore. Some of the remnants of them do. Some of the, you know, offspring do. But remember that Quackademia knows all, and if you are a member of the Church of Quackology, I apologize. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. Please send me your address so I can send you some hankies. But in the meantime, check out those people, especially Sylvie Ivanova and Martin Leadkey and Captain Kirk. These guys really do have it going on. And so with that, I would like to say, there is electricity in the air. Sylvie is somebody I think is probably one of the most beautiful souls on the planet, and I have a crush on her. I think I love you, so what am I saying? And then there's Asha Logos, Martin Leadkey. And your own research is going to help us all, gang. So thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to my incessant rambling, and I hope to talk to you again soon in the near future. Have a great day and care about each other, please.